On the menu today are some smoked meatball sliders. Sliders are just one of those things that, well, it's just basically like a mini burger or a mini sandwich. Now, if you want to make this as a full-size sandwich, go ahead, but I just love the idea of meatballs on a slider bun, and that's what we're going to be doing today. First thing I want to get done is I want to get a sauce ready. It's sort of a marinara sauce, very simple, 3 ingredients. And this is going to top our sliders along with some provolone cheese. So I have 29 ounces of tomato puree here, and this is probably plenty for 10 or 12 or 15 sliders. Whenever I make something like this, I save the rest, and it's great for pasta sauce. And to this, we're going to add a teaspoon of kosher salt and 2 teaspoons of crushed garlic. And we're just going to kind of give this a little whiskey whisk here and get it mixed up. We're not going to heat this. This is going to be a chilled sauce that goes on there. Just sort of a nice, fresh, garlicky, tomatoey sauce. All right, I'm going to put this in a container, get a lid on it. It's going in the refrigerator, and we're going to start making our meatball mixture. So our meatballs are going to be a mixture of 2 meats, primarily ground pork. And in my bowl here, I have 4 pounds of ground pork. To this, I'm going to add 1 pound of ground beef. This is an 80-20 ground beef. Now, before I add the rest of our ingredients to this, I want to kind of blend these 2 meats together. They'll get blended more after we add the rest of our ingredients. First up, I have 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, 2 teaspoons of ground black pepper, a tablespoon of dried basil, a tablespoon of dried oregano, a teaspoon of chili powder, a tablespoon of crushed garlic, 2 eggs that I've already beaten, and some breadcrumbs. Now I'm starting with about 1/2 cup. I can always add more. I find it usually ends up being closer to a cup, but we'll start with 1/2 and see. And we mix. I can already feel we're going to need to add more of our breadcrumbs. It's just the kind of how wet the mixture is. That's what you're feeling for. And like if you try and form it right now, it'll kind of form, but it's a little wet, a little loose. My hands are cold. This was really cold coming out of the refrigerator. We're going to add the rest of our breadcrumbs here. I hate using machinery when I don't need to, but man, it might be time for a meat mixer. See just how we're feeling there. That's feeling a lot better. All right, let's form our meatballs. So I have a tray out here with some parchment paper that I'm just going to form my meatballs and put them on. Now this is completely by eye here. I'm just grabbing an amount for the size of meatball that I want. Now, these meatballs, when they're done, before we put them on the sliders, we're going to cut them in half. So you have to imagine this is sort of a dome, one side and another side. That way it'll sit flat on the bun. So I'm looking for a really decent sized meatball about like that. Let's see, that one we kind of tested, that's roughly the same size. So we're going to go with that one. So really it's just a guesstimate here on how many I'm going to get out of this. I didn't weigh these. If I had to guess, I'd say they're, I don't know, 8 ounces, maybe more, maybe less, not sure. And we're going to be doing these on the Weber kettle today. I've got it set up with the vortex and some charcoal. I could be really precise and weigh these, but I'm just not in the mood to get my scale out. For our presentation at the end, we're going to be putting some basil on the bun, and we're going to be topping these with some provolone cheese and our sauce. How many are we going to get here? Even number, odd number? I'm not sure, actually. There might be a little one at the end. This last one's going to be a little smaller, like I said. All right, there we go. Let's go fire up the kettle and get these smoking. All right, the Weber kettle is up to temp. I'm aiming for 250-ish today, but when you're just using the lid thermometer like I am in this setup, it's not going to be exact, but that's the target. It could be between 250 and 300, and that's fine with me. Now, the internal temperature I'm going for is 160 degrees. That's safe for ground meat, especially ground pork. So let's go ahead and get our meatballs on this cold day outside. There's showers in the area. Just fingers crossed the rain holds off, but let's get these meatballs on. Temperature probe in here. That'll just help me decide when to probe with my Thermapen, kind of check a random amount of these and just see where we're at. Around 155 internal is when I'm going to start probing the others. I'm going to put a piece of pistachio wood on for smoke. All right, we're going to get the lid on, get smoking, and we will come back right around that 155 internal on our test meatball, and we'll check the others. See you back here in a little bit. All right, we just hit 155 internal on our sample meatball. Let's go ahead and probe a few of the others and see how we're doing, because if we're at 155, we're going to get that carryover to 160. Those are beautiful. Let's do some samples right here and check. Yeah, that one's showing 158. And that one's showing 169. So we are good. I'm going to get these off of here. They're going to go inside, and we're going to start building our sliders. So I have one of my meatballs right out here on my little synthetic cutting board. I'm trying to keep my wood cutting board clean for the rest of this. Now, I can slice this way because if you look on the bottom, that's where your grill marks are. So if you want just like a totally perfect thing like that, you can, but you know what? I think we're going to go straight down the middle. We're not going to be too precious today. Yeah, there we go. That is nice and juicy. Looks good. I'm going to build 3 sliders today, so we're going to have to cut 2 meatballs. Same thing. Look at that. And I have the bottom halves of my slider buns here on a tray because once we put the cheese on, I'm going to pop this under the broiler for like 15 seconds just to get that cheese nice and melted. But first, we're going to put some basil on the bottom here. Get our nice, cute little pieces of provolone. These are nice and round. I actually cut these to fit because I want them to be on the meatballs but not completely cover the meatball when they're melted. All right, into the broiler they go. There we go. Now let's get this onto our platter and top these with our sauce and crown them. Little dab of our tomato sauce on top here. Let some of it drip down. And we crown. There we go. Our smoked meatball sliders with our simple fresh tomato sauce, some provolone, some basil. Let's dive in. I have a feeling this might be messy, but I don't care. If you've ever had an amazing meatball sub, that's what this is, just in a smaller package. That pistachio wood smoke on this, pretty darn good. It's only the second or third time I've used it, My wood supplier gave it to me to try, and I'm really starting to like it a lot. But honestly, any wood on these type of meatballs will be great for a slider like this, which is just a treat.